I'm a huge fan of rings as well. I think they're a fantastic tool.
Yeah, I've just noticed whenever I use them, I seem to my physique changes, like it leans out, and I don't know why that is. I figured it was those stabilizers, because
Yeah,
you're especially when you're over the rings on those
yeah.
exercises and you're above them. I feel really challenged. Maybe I'm just getting a little more out of each exercise. I don't
Yeah.
know.
At the minute, I rarely do pull-ups on bars anymore. I
Oh, okay.
find a lot. It's weird. I prefer sometimes doing chin-ups, especially on the biceps and that, and it's easier to get into chest to bar. But sometimes I find if you do a lot of bar work, it can get a little bit uncomfortable on the wrists after a while. But you get around that with rings. Like they're just better on the joints, and
Yeah.
I think because rings are harder, I'm using the angle 90s, or I've got some rock rings. I will get into doing finger pull-ups. It's got the rotation. I find it makes the pull-ups harder. So I've been doing them to try and say when I do go back to the bar pull-ups are easy in comparison. So I've
Hmm.
been doing that.
I wonder if it's that rotational aspect, right? Because you can rotate the rings. So that's going to help your wrists because you
Mhm.
have more freedom there
Yeah,
to.
it's definitely the benefits of rings or suspension training is that ability to rotate. And I think if you're training a lot, trying to mitigate unnecessary stress on your connective tissue can really help for consistency in the long run. Because if you're doing a lot of, and I found this when doing weights as well. I don't know if you ever did, but if you're doing a lot of heavy lifting and a lot of bar work, it takes its toll on you, especially your joints.
Points.
So if you can mitigate that, like I always found, you may be able to relate this to as well, that my shoulders felt so much better going to the ring dip than on the bar dip.
Mhm.
I don't know what it is because it's fixed or I can't find the right width for me. But whenever I move to rings, especially doing the dips, far nicer on my shoulders and my wrists, and everything just felt so much more comfortable. Especially with stuff like the ring push-ups, I get a way better contraction in my chest.
Hmm.
It's that ability to be able to bring
Yes.
them together.
Yes, it's like a fly. It's almost like a dumbbell
Yeah.
fly or something. And
Yeah, it's like a hybrid, isn't it?
pull-ups and chin-ups, I like to supinate my forearms on the way up. So I'm like
Mhm.
rotating as I come up, and I feel like this extra engagement of the biceps when I do
Yeah.
that.
And I think it also helps get around for those people that can't pick between doing pull-ups and chin-ups. You can do both in one exercise.
Yeah.
So you get the best of both, I guess.
What's interesting though is I actually feel it more than like when I think about when I used to supinate on a bicep curl. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? When I'm doing those ring chin ups and I'm supinating on the way up, I mean, it's like, wow, I really
Hmm.
feel it. So yeah, there's something magical about rings. And I
Yeah.
don't know what it is exactly, but I love them.
I think it's part of the thing. I think, and it's part of the issue that you get with weight training is you're moving around the bar and the bar isn't moving around you. So obviously the bar, when you say doing a deadlift or a squat, you want it to move in a straight line and you have to move your body to allow that to happen. And I think that's why some people sometimes have issues because you don't move in the way you naturally would, but you have to move in that way to allow the bar to travel in a straight line. Where if you're doing a pull-up and you've got a fixed bar, the way that your wrists would move, your elbows, your shoulders may not move the way that you want them to. Where if you have a ring, you won't even realize you're doing it. You may not even be intentionally rotating, but before you know it, you're there and you're already rotating.
Mm.
Or the width that you have, or when you pull apart, the way you do a dip, don't realize that your body ends up moving how it wants to move, as opposed to you're moving from a bar and now you're moving the way that the bar is built. It could be that.
Yeah,
But,
that's a good point.
but I'm a huge fan of rings. I definitely recommend people to get into rings, and I don't think you have to be intermediate to get into rings. Like I think you can use rings to do inverted rows, you can use them to do push-ups and stuff. And I think that they're not just a tool just for people that are more advanced. And at 20 or $30 would it be in America for a set of rings?
Yeah.
Maybe plastic unnumbered, maybe, but it's a similar price here in the UK. And I don't think you can buy a fitness bit of equipment that's so versatile yet so cheap.
Hmm.
I think, and if you've got a door frame pull-up bar, hang them on there, and now you can do far more exercises. Well, I said I've got the dynamic ones there, but a standard door frame one will do the job.